Welcome back, everyone, to the Nevin Shapiro Show. I'm Mike Tirado. I'm here with Nevin Shapiro. And today we're getting into the big news that just happened over the weekend with the NCAA making a salary cap towards the college football world. This is really big news. We're going to dive into it and get Nevin's perspective on all of it. We're going to break down everything for you guys. So before the video starts, please click that subscribe button. We're now sponsored by BTN Connect, which is backed by Athlete Narrative, the all-in-one recruiting platform getting kids seen, signed, and to the next level. And of course, as we start every show, let's get into the action. Big news, huge news. Yeah. College football, the NCAA now has allowed universities to directly pay their athletes with a $20.5 million salary cap. There's a roster increase that we're going to talk about as well. But my first question is, how do you feel about the $20.5 million cap?
Well, I warned these assholes 15 years ago, the NCAA, just to be clear who I'm talking about. I warned them about what was coming down the pike. I didn't know it was going to be NIL. They had a chance to get out of this situation very easily with just maybe paying all the kids a certain stipend, which would have pacified everybody. But being the greedy animals that they are, they decided they're not going to ever pay anybody. And so the courts made that determination for them. Hence, this is where we are. So how do I feel about $20.5 million? Honestly, it's a pay cut. They could do better. They could do better just going through the collectives and everything else. It's just in excess too.
Right.
I just think that the law and order, funny coming from me, but the law and order of collegiate sports are out the window.
Yep.
And I'd like to see them monitor what their stipend is going to be, where you can't give more than $600 to a kid. I want to see how they're going to monitor that.
Yes. And we're going to get into that because I really dived into this. And this is a really interesting model because there's two sides of it. You have the university side now that the university can pay, but you still have this collective side where they could pay too, and they're going through an agency now.
Like if I'm advising, I don't want to call them student athletes. Mm-hmm. If I'm advising kids getting ready to go to college to play to play collegiate sports, I'm basically saying, how do we keep you in college for 10 years? Why? What are you going to be why would you go to the pros? You're taking a pay cut. How do we keep you in college for 10 years? That's my play.
Right. And to clear it up for everybody, you know, this is a $20.5 million cap. This is not for football. This is for all sports.
Yeah.
So the big Power 4 teams are going to probably spend about 70% of that on their football team.
If not more.
If not more, which is really taking away from all the other sports.
So I just did a podcast prior to us doing this, and I specifically spoke about that point.
Okay.
And I was countered with the breadwinner is football and basketball. They generate the revenue.
Right.
Who's going to dispute that? Nobody, not me, right? Am I watching college football or lacrosse, right? I'm watching college football as much as I can get of it. So that's how it's going to be determined. That's how it's going to be given out and doled out. But now as an athletic director, what kind of hat do you have to wear to protect all the formers and the other sports? And, you know, but there's never been money in those sports more times than not anyway. It's a very slippery slope. This evolved to this point. We don't just get to a point. It takes time to reach somewhere. And this has been building. And when I was going through my situation, Mike, you know, just take the University of Miami out of the equation, right? When I was going through my situation with the NCAA, my whole point was like, listen, you've got giving kids scholarships no longer works. Yeah, it's nice. They're also bringing billions of dollars to you. So, like, where's the trade-off? And, you know, you just evolve, and, you know, the price of gas today is not the price it was in 1970. Right?
Yeah.
It's an evolution of life.
Yeah.
And that's where we are. And, you know, I think the NCAA deserves all the problems they have now, and I hope kids make $1 zillion. Has it taken away the structure or the innocence, per se, of You know, that innocence was gone a long time ago.
Yeah, I think it just affects the passion and the, wantingness to make the
like
NFL.
everything else, Mike, in life, it's big business. Big business buys small business. Small business go away. It's the world we live in, and get used to it. And that's just what it is.
It hurts the sanctity of the sport from a big college football fans as we are. It sucks. It really does. It's really hurting the sport.
Yeah.
Unfortunately. And this is the monkey wrench.
Yeah.
Right? It was what I thought. NCAA is now partnering with Deloitte, which is one of the largest agencies in the country. Okay. They're regulating the outside NIL deals because now it has to go through this agency in order to be approved.
Yeah, so
if you go outside of the 20.5
That's what I was referring to when I said the $600
exactly
stipend.
Yep.
Yeah.
So for the people that don't understand what I'm saying, what it means is that, so the Deloitte told the ACC, right? So the ACC got involved, that 90% of existing NIL deals from public companies would be approved, as an example. But 70% of deals with booster collectives would not be approved.
Of course.
So, there's all, it's so wild.
Mike, make it easy for your viewers.
Okay.
I was the 70% of the booster.
Exactly.
Boosting.
Exactly.
Right? So I'm right away, I'm unapproving myself.
Yeah.
I mean, what do you come on, man. When you're in Rome, do what the Romans do. Like, what do you think it is? I mean, they're just out of their mind. Come on. You know what I mean? Only because we have two very, very special guests watching us today, I'm really going to maintain my composure. But other than that, I'm ready to go,
Yeah, I know. So here's the other. I mean, it keeps going for me. Like, I kept reading on this, and I could not believe all of these steps now that they're taking. Okay, here's another one. The NCAA has not been enforcing tampering, really. I mean, so many schools are tampering with kids, and there's no rules.
I'm trying to hold my laughter.
I know. You're going to laugh at this one. In a report written by CBS, there are certain lawyers that are telling their players, do not report any of your NIL earnings to this Deloitte Clearing house because there's no repercussions right now. So any money you make outside of this $20.5 million cap, do not report it.
That's attorney-client privilege.
What do you think about that, Nev?
Listen to your attorney.
Tell me how you really feel.
Yeah, I mean, listen. It's a slippery slope we're on.
It's crazy.
They've created this, and I don't see it getting in. The only way for this situation to have ever been right to begin with was it to be federally regulated, and that doesn't mean it would have been perfect, but there would have been semblance of law and order, right? Guys like me in those situations wouldn't be so prevalent.
It wouldn't be possible, or else you would put yourself in a really, really bad situation.
There's a big difference, Mike, between the NCAA knocking on your door and the FBI. There's a different acronym.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, 100%.
So, there's your
right.
There's your breakdown.
So, out of all of this, out of all things I was reading, this is the only one that I kind of liked, and I'm going to explain why, but I'm going to let you go first.
Go ahead.
Okay? The college football roster has now increased scholarships from 85 to 105. So they're giving 20 more scholarships a year that will take effect next year. Okay? So they're claiming it's going to allow more flexibility to the roster, which I do agree in a sense. But do you feel, for you first, do you feel that this is a good rule, that they're increasing the scholarships?
First answer to the question, yes.
Okay.
It is a good rule. I'm happy to see it. And there's also a way to circumvent it.
Let's hear that.
Well, it's real simple. Now you're going to your boosters and saying, all right, listen, we have to increase our salary cap from $40 million to $70 million, or $40 million to $60 million, or $40 million to whatever it is. We need more money. It's just that much more money for 20 more kids, right? And they're not going to be just kids. Like, it's just because we're adding 20 scholarships doesn't mean we're adding, punters and placeholders for special teams.
Yeah.
How many 5-stars can we fit into these 20 scholarships?
Sure.
Right.
Sure.
So what's that going to entail?
And even the Wake Forest head coach came out and said, I don't think they're going to be replacing 20 people from high school. They're probably going to go either 5 stars if they do go high school, or they're going transfer portal.
Everyone's going portal shopping.
Yeah, portal shopping for 20 more kids.
The biggest issue with this portal situation is, well, there's a few issues, but let me give you the first one. The first one is these kids have why leave a place where you have a home and then become homeless, right? Because these kids are leaving and there's nowhere to go. They're just leaving because it's sexy and I don't like that coach. He's an ass or whatever. And I got a better shot. But you don't really have a better shot. The other issue is the tampering. Let's just use Miami. Miami's calling up a guy from Florida State. You guys are terrible. Your coach is probably out the door, but it's horrible. It's tampering. It's blatant tampering. It's terrible.
Yep.
And the NCAA's got to go. They need to be overthrown. It should have happened years ago, but there needs to be a new governing process.
Yes.
With like people who have been on this side of the fence, or else it's never going to be, it's never going to be perfect.
Yep.
But you need some kind of semblance of law and order. It's just bananas.
Yeah. So I see two sides to this in my opinion. One, I played the sport for a lot of years, all my life. And I really feel that now that they're extending the season and they're making the season longer, especially for the better teams that make it longer in the season, I think it's good from a depth perspective because guys are going to get hurt. And now you can have more depth at each position for 20 more scholarships.
Yeah.
Where I think it affects it negatively is for the walk-ons and the people that are trying to come in and make it, those like lower tier guys that like those storylines.
The Baker Mayfields of the world.
Right.
Who was
the
a walk-on.
Cam Wards, almost. 0 stars.
J.J. Watt.
Those guys. It hurts them because now you've just replaced the walk-on community with this increase because you can't take any more. Now you're capped and they're not filling 20 more spots with garbage.
I hate to keep beating a dead horse, but when you try to oppress change, this is what happens.
Yep.
You either change with the times or you just get changed and don't know where you are, right? Like the technology world and this and that. And the NCAA never wanted to come to terms with this horse was getting ready to leave the barn. And they thought they were going to control this monopoly. And this is why we are where we are today. And I don't want to be like, I said so, and I told you so, and this and that. It's not like I'm some genius. But I just know that I was running those idiots around in circles for a long time. And had I not had my circumstances, they'd still be running around in circles. Yeah. So if I'm telling you this is what's going on, they should have listened. But they're greedy, and that's another story, and you could read plenty of books on your own and stuff on what happens when you're involved with greed.
Right. So here is the final question and segment of the show. Man, again, just another wild thing here. The NCAA has now approved a $2.8 billion settlement dating back players all the way until 2016. The internet is going crazy of former players in college saying, I want my bag now. They're coming back for their bag because they just approved this. It seems like just a complete clusterfuck. I mean,
it is. And that's going to be over because it's already been because I looked into this situation a few months ago for some former athletes back from the earlier days prior to that 2016 thing, and there's no way to get in. Their time they're barred.
Lapsed. Yeah,
they're barred. Statute of limitations. They're barred, and it's over. It's over, and they can tell glory day stories. It's over.
Yeah. So 2016 to current,
You
though.
missed the cut. You missed the cut.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like, here's a good example. How do the former NBA guys like Dr. J and George Gervin and some of the greats of all time back when, from my era, not your era, they missed the big payday. They were just born at the wrong time.
Yeah. Man, they would have been paid insane money.
Are you kidding me?
Insane. Yeah.
Crazy.
So, but the point is that, like, now every kid that played from 2016 until now is coming. Like, they're coming for theirs. And I think this is just going to be one cluster of a legal battle between hundreds of thousands of athletes.
That's why I am on the 8-year-old and over traveling squads of all sports, and I am the guy to get you the Chuck E. Cheese deal. I'm after where no one's looking.
You're going to find your own little niche market.
Found it already.
Exploit it.
That's it.
And the NCAA is going to have to do it again to you and come after you for a second time.
Some guys are just deserving of the attention.
Yeah.
As it relates to the University of Miami, being that that's the theme of our show, I don't think they're in a salary cap situation like everyone else, but it's not going to stop what has become an onslaught of ridiculous money. And by the way, with all the garbage we're throwing out there about the NCAA, the next TV deal will be bigger. It's not going to stop.
No.
Like,
it's not going to stop anybody.
I'll talk about it, but I'll be on my couch come August 31st, right? From 7 a.m. till 2 a.m.
Yeah.
And watching it, and like, it's not going to stop. It's just this is the minor league of the NFL, man. This is where we are.
So just real quick then, what do you think they're going to do then on this, your example, $600 over the cap? What do you think they would do in order to, like, regulate?
Do what your attorney says. Don't report it. I'm not saying that. He's saying it, whoever he is.
Right.
Right? Like, I mean, that's what it is. They put laws in, it's like, just you everything's a cat and mouse game.
Yeah.
And that's just where we are. They don't have a handle on this. All they had to do is take the bull by the horns a long time ago, when I was in the situation I was in with them, and they should have really addressed that matter or taken it serious enough to where, like, did you not think at some point a kid was going to be like, how can you make a multi-billion-dollar TV deal and I can't eat dinner? Is that fair or practical? In what world?
Right. Yeah. I mean, we've had multiple guys on our show that say that they went without meals and they would look forward to the team meals in order to eat.
Yeah. I mean, that time has, come and gone. I'll tell you one thing. If I'm not a high heralded athlete and I end up making the cut and getting a scholarship and coming to play for, I'm hanging out by the quarterback. I know I'm eating.
Exactly. I'm going everywhere with Carson Beck.
You know what I'm saying? Like, I know I'm eating.
Yeah. I'm going to find a way to play for the offensive line so he can take me out.
Like, I'm finding the quarterback, man.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. So, guys, there's going to be more to come on this for sure, 100%. And we're going to get into it more for you guys as this keeps evolving. But we really broke it down as best as we could. If you have any comments or anything to discuss, let's debate on it. Drop it in the comments. Subscribe before you leave. And as always, we'll catch you on the next one.